Compared to this graph from Matplotlib, I like this one more because I just like the styling better, and this graph was made by a library called Plotly. And in this video, I'll show you how to use Plotly to create that and 2 more basic visuals. And in the end, I'll show you how to display all the visuals on the same output, sort of like a dashboard. So make sure to watch the whole thing. Alright, so over here I just import a library called pandas, and this is gonna help me load a dataset into a data frame called df. And in this video I'm just gonna use a dataset that I've used in previous videos. It's on the pro tennis matches in 2022, and so you can see in the next cell I created 2 more columns. The first one is the total first serves in, and the second one is the total aces. I'm going to be using these columns for our visuals later. First, we're going to import Plotly Express, which is going to let us easily create visuals in only a couple lines of code. So I'm just going to import Plotly Express by saying import plotly.express as px. We're also going to import another package from Plotly that's going to let us combine the visuals we make into one place, but I'm going to show you how to do that later. For now, let's just create a basic scatter plot with a nice color gradient. You only need to type in 1 line of code. So in a new cell, type in px.scatter, and this is a method provided by the Plotly library, and you're going to specify the name of the data frame, which is df, and then now you're going to say x is equal to, and put in the column name that you want to show on the x-axis. So you can type in minutes, and then for the y-axis you can say that the column is going to be total aces, and make sure to add the optional argument called color, which is going to display a color gradient on the visual. So I want the color gradient to be based on all the values of the column called total first serves in. So if you run that, then you can see that as you get more to the top right of the scatter plot, then the dots tend to be more orange, which tells you that there tends to be more first serves going in when there's a longer match and when there's more aces in that match. We're also going to create a histogram. All you gotta say is px.histogram, and like before, you have to specify the name of the data frame, which is df, and then put in the column name for the x-axis. So say winner underscore IOC, which is a column that contains all the country names for where the winning players are from. And so that's really all it is. We just need 2 arguments. So if you run that, then it shows you a pretty long histogram because there's so many countries, and you can see the longest bar is the USA, which tells you that the US has the most winning players. The last one we're going to make before we combine the visuals together is a box plot. You say px.box this time, and then say df, and then the x-axis, the column name is going to be total aces. For the y-axis, the column name is going to be the surface. So I'm just going to show you the total aces for each surface, each of the 3 different surfaces. And so if you run that, then it's going to show you the grass, clay, and the hard, and the total aces in the x-axis. But I want to do one more thing. Right now it's looking pretty bland with the same blue color. I can make that a little better. So I'm going to add another argument. It's pretty similar to what we did with the scatter plot. So you can say color is equal to the surface. So that's just going to change the color for each of the 3 surfaces. So if you run that, then now it just looks a bit cleaner in my opinion, because there's the blue, red, green color. And if you've been following along this whole video, you might have noticed already that whenever you hover over a dot or a bar or whatever element, then it shows you a pop-up box. And I really like this feature because I'm only using 1 line of code. It's like the basic syntax for the Plotly visual, and it's already giving me a nice interactive feel to it whenever you hover over it. So I really think that's one advantage over the Matplotlib and the Seaborn library. Alright, now comes the most important part. We've just been using Plotly Express, but to actually display multiple visuals in one place, we have to use another package called graph objects. The syntax might look a little different, but it should be pretty straightforward. And I'm only going to be displaying 2 visuals on the same place because I want you to think about how to add the 3rd visual onto the subplot. So first you say import plotly.graphObjects as go, and then import another package from Plotly. They're going to say from plotly.subplots. Import make subplots, and you'll see how you're going to use this just in a sec. And below that I'm going to say fig is equal to make subplots, and the first argument is gonna be the rows, which I'm gonna say is equal to 1, meaning that it's gonna be a single row. And the second argument is gonna be the columns. I'm gonna say that's equal to 2. And so there's gonna be 2 visuals on the same row. There's gonna be a left visual here and a right visual over here. And finally, the last one's gonna be called the subplot titles. And you can name it whatever you want, but for our scatter plot, I'm gonna say that's gonna be minutes versus the total aces. And then for the histogram, I'm gonna say that's gonna be country winner count. Now we're gonna draw the 2 visuals. So we're gonna say fig.addTrace, and inside that we're gonna draw our scatter plot. So we're gonna say go.scatter with a capital S, and then you say that x is equal to df, which is the minutes, and then y is equal to df, and then the column was total aces. And notice that this is slightly different than our code up here because it's using a different package from Plotly. And then you're gonna say that the mode is equal to markers because you want to show each individual point in the scatter plot. And to add the color gradient, you're gonna say that marker is equal to the dictionary, and inside that you're gonna say color is equal to df, and then total first serves in. And so this is gonna display the color gradient based on the values inside the first serves in column. And outside of the whole scatter method, you're gonna specify the position of where you want the visual to be. So I'm gonna say the row is equal to 1, the column is equal to 1, and that means that the scatter plot is gonna be on the very left hand side because it's on the first row and the first column. I'm gonna close it with a closing parenthesis. And now I'm just gonna copy and paste this line and change the column to 2. Because the next visual is going to be on the right hand side. I'm going to get rid of all this and change it to a histogram. And all we need to do is specify the column name of the x-axis, which is df, and then it was winner underscore IOC, which was the country name of the winning players. And finally, you got to say fig.show, and if you run that, then it shows you 2 visuals side by side, which is pretty cool. And I know that you could do a lot more with this. You could add, maybe you could add titles to the x-axis, y-axis, get rid of this legend, and add a 3rd visual. But I'm gonna leave that up to you because you could do that in your own time. I've only touched on a few things you could do with Plotly, so if you want to see what else you can create, I'll provide a link to the full Plotly documentation below. And as always, make sure to smash that subscribe button to stay up to date with my content. And if you're still watching this part of the video, then you might like this video over here, which is gonna show you how to create 3 easy visuals in Python. And instead of using Plotly, I'm gonna be using Seaborn and Matplotlib. So I hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching.